Judy note globalization means that none of our nations have sovereign governments anymore, that all peoples and countries are captured with installed regimes under control of the deep state. From white hat intel, the enemy excels in creating and controlling distractions to keep we the people's focus off the truth. The war in Ukraine creates an emotional response that begs for more government intervention. The uptick in shootings keep people focused on violence. The perpetual cry of racism keeps people divided. The January 6th committee keeps people blinded and creates an emotional response. UFO discussions keep people focused on what's out there while keeping people from realizing what's right before us. The WHO's plan to strip America of her sovereignty. Food shortages and gas prices keep people fighting to simply survive and creates an emotional response for more governmental assistance and dependence on those who wish us harm. The enemy keeps attacking, but they've forgotten one major thing: God has already won the war. Satan knows God has already won, but that doesn't stop him from speaking lies. A global currency reset. Judy note: in the past few days, lots of strange things have been happening within the central banking system across the globe. There were bank runs in China and Europe over those banks not having the money to pay what was in private citizen accounts. Since last weekend, ATMs have been down off in both the U.S. and Canada. Marks Wednesday, 15th of June. Most contacts say the revaluation would occur in the second half of June. Bondholders were encouraged that they would soon receive their one, with the other 99 within the next 2 weeks. There was encouraging news from Tier 3 groups which I'm unable to talk about. Mark's news is all over the place on Tuesday, 14th of June. The bond people have not received dollars yet. The bond people are being told there is pressure from the U.S. Treasury to hold off a few more days, hoping the market will correct further so they don't have to eat it and compile it on the fiat system. I'm not certain I buy that at all. I think it's an excuse to throw us off on their timing. DOD contacts Department of Defense are very upbeat and think things will be releasing at any moment. There is a lot of back and forth from the banking side, the military side, and the political side, and I think it's all smoke because we are so close. They are trying to hide the timing here at the last moments. I find it very interesting. We are getting similar excuses from all the bond redemption areas, so somebody is feeding this same line about the Treasury to all the bondholders. Meanwhile, you have DoD contacts telling us we are there at any moment, and there is not a delay from the Treasury, so lots of different narratives to keep us off kilter on the timing. I am going to wait and see what tomorrow brings. Hopefully things will be clearer. We were told to expect smoke and confusion at the end. Reminder: no one, and I mean absolutely no one, knows the exact time and date that the global currency reset would be finalized, with codes entered for notification of Tier 4B. Us, the Internet group, to set redemption exchange appointments. It depended upon an earth-shattering event such as a stock market crash that would implode the global economy. The exact deadline would be decided by the military out of calculations of their quantum computer and based upon concerns for safety of the people. Trust the plan. Be restored republic. The event it is biblical whiplash 347. There is going to be a big biblical scenario where they make out it's World War III, but really they are activating militaries then bombing all of these satanic 𝗚𝗖𝗥 and landmarks. Enacting 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗡 funds and we the people rebuild what are some of the very big satanic Illuminati landmarks in the world. 𝗚𝗖𝗥 Germany 3GD in China CERN on the Swiss-French border. Possible June Alliance military manifestation. July revelation, August vindication. September recovery and restoration. On Tuesday, 17th of May 2022 at 11 a.m. Est. Constitutional Convention of 34 U.S. states was held in Washington, D.C. where U.S. Incorporated was declared officially dead and the U.S. Republic was restored to principles as outlined in the original Constitution. 10 Democrat governors decided not to have their state participate in the restored republic, that is, they remain true to the deep state, while Hawaii would proudly revert to their original sovereign status as a nation-state. The Kingdom of Hawaii status of the remaining 5 states was unknown. World's largest military sting operation was presently in progress in over 32 major countries. Crimes were connected to the UN, Gates, Big Pharma / Big Tech / Vatican, Rothschild, etc. White Hat intel on Sunday, June 12, 2022. We have started mass arrests. White Hats on Sunday, June 12, 2022. On Tuesday, June 7, 2022, Biden declared a state of emergency in the U.S. due to threat of a shortage of power generation capacity for consumers and disruptions in energy markets. Friends of the Constitution lawsuit against the deep state. $500 trillion lawsuit against the federal government and over 140 monopolists removed by YouTube in 5 hours. See global economic crisis on Thursday, 16th of June. Evergrande would be delisted from stock market. Evergrande owns 90% of China's housing market, and the delisting was expected to cause a global housing market crash. Wars and rumors of wars. The Chinese Communist Party regime has claimed sovereignty over the Taiwan Strait, denying the U.S. and Taiwan's assertion that the strategic channel is in international waters. The Epoch Times China Insider Operation Liberation 2022 Ukraine Donbass Russia battle for freedom. Ahmed Special Forces. We understood that the situation was different. We fight not just against Ukraine. We fight against several countries on Ukrainian territory, says military analyst Vladislav Shurgin. According to him, if Ukraine were alone, the conflict would have ended by May 2022. During the special operation in Ukraine, the Russian army destroyed 16 Ukrainian military airports, 363 tanks and other armored vehicles, 185 military planes, and hundreds of other gear, according to the Russian Ministry of Defense. It is the result of the first phase of the special operation in Ukraine, which aimed to lower its military potential significantly. In April of 2022, the second phase started, which aims to liberate Donbass and southern Ukraine territories. Ukraine naval ships being deserted with all computers left open with codes open. Admiral/captain's logs left behind. No files taken off the ships nor destroyed. Many Ukrainian naval vessels have left everything open and left behind all artillery and computers and data for the Russian military. No battles took place. No fights. The Ukrainian military vessels had hours to destroy hardware, take computers, take logs, munitions, act, but all things were left behind in peace. There are many footages out there now circulating of naval ghost vessels abandoned Interesting, it's becoming obvious the Ukraine military who fled the vessels left everything for the Russians to find and look into the military computers. Data systems. G. White had intel Buffalo shooter false. Flag was the Buffalo shooter groomed by the FBI to commit mass murder. Buffalo News has linked a retired federal agent to the shooting because he apparently knew about it at least 30 minutes before it occurred. The former agent, believed to be from Texas, is said to be under investigation for direct communications he had previously had with 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗏, the alleged shooter. War of good against evil in Uganda. The UN was headed to Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda and South Sudan. Military from these countries and rebels forces are flanking the borders of Uganda. 31 million tons of gold is found struck in a deposit in Uganda that's worth over $12.000 trillion. Now the UN has turned off flight trackers and is moving in artillery and munitions. Sound. Uganda. The deep state cabal is already setting up assets and false flag events to remove the president and take over the country. As you know, Gaddafi was killed for gold and wanting to start his own banking system through gold. Putin was labeled a warmonger for wanting to go back to a gold-backed monetary system. Several countries in the past 100 years were infiltrated by the deep state central banking system. If they did not join the system and give control of large portions of their wealth to the elites stolen through false trading markets and corrupt installed regimens in those countries, then wars were created in those countries using false flag operations. The CIA on Rockefeller, Rothschild, Bush central banking system color revolutions, creating civil unrest in their countries that lead to wars and overthrow of government, which then installed a deep state central banking system. Overnight, Uganda became one of the richest counties in the UN, controlled by Davos, Rockefellers, Rothschild, DuPont, and Bushes wanted the money. We all know how mainstream media will vilify the current president and forces and start to overthrow the country into the hands of undeep state operations. The Uganda president has reached out to other African countries, Putin and Xi, who are against UN policies and UN regime. It's going to heat up. Xi announces plans to allow Chinese military to undertake armed forces operations abroad. The enemy excels in creating and controlling distractions to keep we the people's focus off the truth. They attempt to shift our focus away from their wickedness and onto their false narrative by creating staged scenarios that beg for an emotional response. The war in Ukraine creates an emotional response that begs for more government intervention while ignoring the true enemies here at home and their plan to destroy our country from within. The optic and shootings keep people focused on violence, providing an emotional response that begs for more gun control and attempts to disarm we the people. The perpetual cry of racism keeps people divided and creates an emotional response that calls for more silencing of the truth through political correctness and social justice. The January 6th committee keeps people blinded and creates an emotional response. UFO discussions keep people focused on what's out there while keeping people from realizing what's right before us. The WHO's plan to strip America of her sovereignty, food shortages and gas prices keep people fighting to simply survive and creates an emotional response for more governmental assistance and dependence on those who wish us harm, while they are good at creating distractions. Knowing their playbook gives us the advantage. Knowing the truth gives us an even greater advantage. Faith dispels fear. The enemy keeps attacking, but they've forgotten one major thing: God has already won the war. Satan knows God has already won, but that doesn't stop him from speaking lies. Stay focused on the truth. Stay focused on the gospel. We are winning the war, or they wouldn't be trying so hard to change the narrative in a sea of disinformation. The truth is our only bulwark against the tactics of the enemy. Stand strong and keep fighting through the distractions. We've already won, but we must continue keeping on. The real news for Wednesday, June 13, 2022. The Daily Caller asked all 50 Democratic senators if they would endorse Biden in 2024. Only 5 said yes. Bangladesh: dozens killed in container depot fire in Bangladesh. More than 30 people, including firefighters, had been killed in a massive blaze and explosion at a container depot in Bangladesh's Chittagong area. The death toll from the fire, which began on Saturday night, reached 33 by Sunday morning, with over 450 people reportedly injured. Bangladesh Army troops were deployed to the site to assist multiple fire crews. The cause of the blaze is not yet clear. It is believed that chemicals were stored in some of the containers. Philippine volcano spews ash over 1 kilometer high. The National Institute of Volcanology and Seismology recorded dozens of earthquakes in the region near Volcano Balusan over the past day. Following the ejection, settlements and streets nearby were covered with ash. No casualties were reported. Greece drone footage shows wildfire near Athens. A wildfire on Mount Hymettus, outskirts of Athens, spread quickly on Saturday, threatening the region and mobilizing firefighters. According to reports, the winds in the region helped to expand the flames, quickly making it difficult for firefighters. Emergency teams used helicopters and aircraft to try to contain the wildfire.